Welcome to Voices from Convention. I'm Marta Lawrence. I'm joined by Bill Pennington, the New York Times reporter. And Bill, you've written quite a few stories about athletic scholarships. I wonder if you could tell me a little bit about your findings.
Well, essentially what I found out is that athletic scholarships are nowhere near as plentiful as the public in general thinks they are. I think there's a real disconnect in what the truth is and the financial realities are and what people think. And this is actually how I got into the story, was that I have children who are in youth sports, and I would walk the sidelines, and I'd have parents all the time talking to me saying, well, we're doing this because that's how you get a scholarship, and we're doing this, and we're going to play this sport or on this team because that's where the scholarships are. And at the same time, professionally, I'd be talking to college coaches who would be explaining to me how few scholarships they had and how budgets were being cut. And I said, you know, something's wrong here. And so I actually, with the help of the NCAA, which was a big help, they gave me some data that really let us analyze it and put it out in a chart form that showed sport by sport and by gender, just that, you know, the average scholarship outside of, let's say, football and basketball is only about $8,000, which is not insignificant, but, you know, most people think that every scholarship is a full ride. Most people think every scholarship is for 4 years. None of those things are true.
Why do you think parents seem to be so focused on athletic scholarships rather than, say, academic scholarships? Or in my case, I actually went to school for music on scholarships. So why do you think parents seem to be pushing their students toward?
Yeah, it's a very good point, because there's much, much more money available for academics or theater or music than there is for athletics. I think there's a couple of reasons why people focus on it. National television televises a lot of college sports games. Most of those games on the screen are athletes who are on full rides or very hefty athletic aid packages. So they have that perception. Local newspapers don't help. The letter of signing day, they had run pictures of these athletes who have signed their letter of intent to attend wherever. Right. And the thing is that most of those are very small aid packages, maybe no award at all. But they don't say that. There really are restrictions about what you can and can't say. But the impression is that those are all full rides. It's also true that online recruiting services sometimes don't help. They foster a lot of unrealistic expectations. Right. And youth coaches have some role, because I think not enough of them are educated in the fact that the scholarship totals are low, and they should not mislead their athletes into thinking that there's a rainbow of money at the end of a travel team experience.
Sounds like there are a lot of misperceptions out there. The media, even to some extent, plays a large role in that. You and I were talking before we sat down to start this interview, and you were saying that you decided to write this article more as a public service than anything else. Can you talk to me about some of the inspiration that you had and why you thought it was an important topic to tackle?
Well, I just heard from so many parents who were pursuing a course that I knew was kind of foolhardy, and sports are a great thing, and it bothered me that so many people were pursuing it, it seemed, with this idea that there was money at the end of the chase here, this chase for this holy grail, in a sense, which is the athletic scholarship. And it just disturbed me that there weren't more people just enjoying sports for what they were. There were more, you know, I think parents, if they really thought about it, why did they get their child involved in sports in the first place? It wasn't for the money. It was for all the goods that come from that experience. But as they go along in the journey, they start to lose their perspective. So with the NCAA's help, which was considerable help because they had the data, and it took about 18 months of talking about how to, you know, what data exactly did I want, where was it. It's not something that's just sort of spit out all the time. But I knew from nosing around enough that I think the data was there. And so over time, again, it was a considerable amount of help. They released the data I needed, and then I went with our people, and we kind of interpreted it for our purposes. But I do think that chart that we ran with this series, which listed sport, by gender, how many participants, how much money, average scholarship, everything, had a great impact, because I probably got more letters and emails and reaction for those stories than any other story I've written at the New York Times.
Wow, that's really impressive. And is that available online on the New York Times website?
It is, and we're going to, we're in talks, so we were just talking about it the other day with the NCAA to try and update it every year so that it would be current stats.
So not every NCAA division is a full scholarship, and you know, Divisions 2 and 3, for example, Division 2 only has partial scholarship, Division 3 doesn't offer any scholarship. Do you think that people just don't know about these different scholarship models in the different divisions?
Yes, I think there isn't a lot of knowledge about that. I think in many places, urban areas especially, Division 3 isn't even known at all.
Right.
all they know is one and maybe two. I think it is one of the challenges for Division III to sort of explain fully how their model works and how indeed there can be a lot of money still there. It's just not tagged as athletic money.
Right.
If you have need, you know, the money will probably be there for you. There's lots of discounting, as there is at all institutions, for tuition and those kind of things. So yeah, I think it's one of the challenges, and I think it's really too bad that a lot of athletes don't think of Division III or their parents. It's somewhat an educational problem. They need to know more. You know, there's far more Division III schools playing athletics than there are in the other divisions.
Absolutely.
And, you know, it's kind of too bad. I do think they're overlooked, and I think it'd probably be a benefit to most families to look in that direction.
Right. You know, I heard on CNN this morning, and all the talk for the last several months has been about the economy. And I heard on CNN that, you know, college tuition rates are going up and will continue to go up for a while now. What impact do you think this is going to have on the amount of scholarship money available?
Well, I think it can only diminish it.
Right.
I don't know exactly how the public is going to react to all this. I would hope that in this age, this economic collapse will make people, as they're having to do in other walks of their lives, do even more research into how their money is spent, be even more analytical about how their money is going to be spent, which would mean looking into Division III, into other options, and understanding that academics good academics will probably get you more money than good athletics. I hope that's what happens. I guess there's also a possibility that these sort of irrationality could get worse.
Right.
But I'm trying to be optimistic and hope that doesn't happen.
Certainly, there is a need out there for scholarships, and I think even now in these economic times, we're seeing people, you know, desiring scholarship money more because they can't afford to send their children to school, and in some cases, those students are seeing that as their only option. Do you think this sort of fervor around athletic scholarship is going to increase because of the economic times?
Well, I really don't know. I mean, I would think that the wiser course would still be I would hope would still prevail. I mean, I got one letter from after the series from a soccer coach in Connecticut, high school soccer coach, and he said that when parents come to him and say, well, we hope soccer pays for college, then he says to the parents, well, every time you come to a soccer game or a soccer practice, go put $10 in a savings account. Just because that's the only way soccer is going to pay for college, probably. Right. So, you know, maybe that kind of reason will prevail. I would hope so.
Thanks so much for the work that you do, Bill, and for the very good research that you've done to support these stories. We really appreciate it, and I know a lot of parents and student athletes out there are better for the work that you've done. Thanks very much. And thank you for joining us on Voices from Convention. I'm Marta Lawrence. Stay tuned to ncaa.org for more.